Let us now pass on to a task that will help you see how these notions operate when we are trying to understand language in the real world. Watch this documentary developed by The Guardian for general education purposes. As you watch it, identify and draw a list of conceptual and mental models that derive from the content of the documentary. Schemas, that is, focus on your own frames. What knowledge of the world do you bring to your understanding of the documentary? And focus as well on scripts. What do you expect next as you watch? Are all your expectations fulfilled? Analyze the documentary in its discourse structure. Consider what you know about schemas. Refer to Field's 3 schematic levels in this documentary. How does it draw on your world knowledge, that is the content schema of a text, your knowledge built from text so far, meaning creation, that is how you develop meaning creation as you listen to this extract, and then how does it draw on your previous experience with the type of text schema, that is with the documentary.
We all know that Stephen Hawking has worked on some of the biggest questions about our cosmos, but what are those ideas? Black holes are incredibly dense objects, with such strong gravity that nothing, not even light, can escape their pull. Hawking worked with physicist Roger Penrose to show that if you were able to travel to the centre of a black hole, you'd find something called a singularity. In a singularity, so much matter is squashed into such a small space that the force of gravity becomes infinite. Everything is crushed into a point of infinite density, punching a hole through the fabric of the universe and tearing up the rulebook of physics as we know it. It's pretty frightening stuff. You might think that a vacuum is empty, but it's not, at least not according to quantum theory. It's fizzing with particles and antiparticles that pop into existence from nowhere and then disappear. When this happens at the edge of a black hole, one of the pair of particles can fall in, leaving the other to escape. This tiny stream of escaping particles is known as Hawking radiation. Now, those particles that fell into the black hole, they have a negative mass and will cause the black hole to get smaller and smaller until it disappears. It'll take a while, in fact a very long while, but in its final moments, a black hole will explode with the energy of 1 million nuclear bombs, leaving nothing behind. So why is Stephen Hawking our most famous living scientist? Well, he showed that at one point everything in our universe was squeezed into a singularity, which then exploded into the Big Bang, eventually forming galaxies, stars, planets, you, me, everything in existence. That was the beginning of our universe. And I suppose the incredible thing is that he came up with all these profound, provocative insights without the convenience of being able to write anything down. He did it all by thought alone.
The documentary shows us how concepts, mental models, and schemas operate in our everyday life. It is an excellent example on the ways in which we use knowledge, background knowledge, to understand the world and to build up an understanding of language. The notion of black holes is clearly a mental model in the documentary, as a mental model developed by Stephen Hawking. Concepts such as singularity, particles, antiparticles, and many more constitute this mental model. Black holes. For most of us, some of these notions come from our knowledge of physics general knowledge developed by formal schooling that is stored in schemas. But we have also knowledge that we build as we listen to the documentary and we come to understand further the concept of a black hole. In addition to all this, our experience with the type of text, that is, scientific oral text, helps us understand the type of text that we are listening to, which is a documentary. In terms of schemas, a number of these ideas help us understand, and as we listen and understand, we can anticipate what is coming next. The documentary is built in discourse terms with that idea in mind, since the questions somehow respond to the listener's anticipations as he or she is listening. So, to conclude, let me recap what we have done so far. We have defined key concepts used in linguistics when we analyze mental representations involved in language understanding and production. To do so, we have referred to the notion of concept and mental model. Then, we have described the notion of schema as compared to the notion of mental model, and we have concluded by describing in depth two distinct types of schemas, namely frames and scripts.